I really like this 97 show. This was really phenomenal, I think.
It was interesting. Very early in the tour. Very early.
I'm just feeling good, man. I had no notes, no complaints. I mean, a few notes. We'll talk notes, but I feel good.
Got notes.
Welcome back to WOOK Plus. I'm Weekend WOOK. I didn't time that right. What's up, Kev? So
How we
WOOK
doing,
Club.
man?
It's good. We're here to talk about 11/16/97 from McNichols. What a famous, storied venue, and what a fun show this was. I enjoyed this. You were saying it was interesting. Good,
Yes.
interesting, bad, interesting, or just interesting?
I feel like it's very much a bridge show in as much as you look at that first set, it's a very 96 set.
Yeah. I don't know what you mean, but what? How so? Just like this was these were
The song
what?
choices, the style of jamming, they hadn't quite latched on to what the next night would become the theme for the rest of the tour.
Yeah, super
When they hit the
funky.
Johnny Be Good and the Tweezer and the whole,
Yeah.
um, the Johnny Be Good. It wasn't Tweezer, it was Johnny Be Good. It wasn't. Um, no,
Well,
it feels like this set would have sat comfortably a year before in winter 96.
it was a short show. I mean, what, 2 hours, and the set list. I mean, the second set was 5 songs, and first
Right.
set
And
flew by.
under we had like 52, 53 minutes if you cut off Isabella's listed as 8 minutes, but it's 3 minutes a crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
Uh
so I mean, the Black Eyed Katie's the only thing that really points to the future. And even though Farmhouse is a debut and pointing to the future, it feels very set in the ethos that was 96 and Billy Breeze and stuff.
okay. I don't know if I completely agree with that because I felt like the Farmhouse was like definitely had that like fresh 99 type of feel pulling it. So maybe it was a split thing, but we'll start at the top with the NICU. I think uh Page sounded fantastic and a really fun version. I think it's a cool way to start too. I don't know. I haven't seen many. I don't not can't think of many NICUs to start shows, but you know, right away I was
I
like, oh
think
yeah, this makes sense.
I think in fall 21, it was either the first or second song one night. But yeah, it's perfect opener. I mean, I love it. Goofy lyric. You can listen to it 100 times, still not be sure what's going on with it. Um, Always has room for more of a jam, which they proved at that one they did at the NICU arena or whatever in San Diego. Um, but yeah, I mean, great way to start off, shake everything off, get everybody in the groove. And then you hit My Soul, which was fantastic. That it was really ferocious around this time. My Soul was like a winner every time.
Yeah, I mean, it always gets people moving. It's not overly complicated, really straight blues, but like when I mean, they do that so well. So I think it does its job, and I think coming out of the opener, it really worked well. Um, I loved, absolutely love, and I guess this is like not like a new revelation because like I've heard them before, but it's been a while since I've listened to Black Eyed Katy like MoMA without the MoMA. And it
Mhm.
works really, really well for me because it's such a organically growing groove that like just like sits in that pocket so well. And like, yeah, the goofy, you know, vocals and stuff that were added, like it's fun, but like for somebody who just really appreciates groove and like doesn't need to have words on any songs really, like I never am like, oh, thank God this song has lyrics. Uh
Right.
I like that where it let my mind go, right? Because I just got lost in the groove, and it's like it has that repeated, you know, ostinato feel to it, and I don't know, I like it. It almost makes me wish that they would drop the
Yep.
lyrics at some point to
Yep.
just do it this way, you know?
I've always been a proponent of more instrumentals, them doing more instrumentals. I think they'll get a lot more years out of their voices if they did 2 or 3 instrumentals a night. And I don't think Black Eyed Katy needed lyrics, but they felt like they had to make it into more of a song than this just free form structured jam.
Yeah, and it still holds the same set list position and still does a lot of the same
Work.
thing, right? It does, yeah, it does the same work, but I don't think it's a problem that that it evolved. Like I think MoMA is awesome, but I think that there's a place for both, right? Like you know how they go
Yeah.
between like Axela one
Landlady
and
and
two,
uh,
or yeah, Landlady, or like I feel like they could do. They didn't need to stop doing Black Eyed Katy just because they started doing MoMA, I guess.
but MoMA has to be one of Trey's top 5 Fish songs because he plays it every other night with
All
Tab,
the
every
time.
other night with Fish. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, it's a great groove. I mean, that has to be just something that came out of a jam or like a warm up, like they get in session and like fucking just start,
this
laying out a
couldn't
groove.
have this couldn't have been more than the second or third Black Eyed Katy. I think there was only 5 or 6 of them total that tour, and by '98 it had became MoMA.
Yeah. Yeah. Not the night before, but the couple shows before, 11/13 at Thomas and Mack was the first. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, maybe they'll bring it back one day.
Maybe they
Probably
will.
not.
Oh, well, I tell you what, Farmhouse was one of my stars of the sphere. I thought that visual they totally nailed, and I've always been a fan. I felt like this was a first time, solid first time. If this is going to be your debut,
Yeah. I think it was probably one of the better farmhouses I remember hearing. Right? It's
mm-hmm.
funny though, because like you could feel kind of a groan in the crowd. Even you know what I mean? Like it's no different. Like they debut songs now and everybody's like, ah. And
There
like
was
in
no
97 in
crowd.
Denver, everybody was like, what?
We don't even know what this is. Oh man,
Oh man.
not giving it a chance.
Yeah,
And
Old
then,
Home Place is good. I think that
right,
is nice in this spot.
I felt like this whole little run, Farmhouse, Old Home Place, and Billy Breeze was like a really neat, like country, old timey kind of little mini set in the middle there. It was pretty. Old Home Place, I guess, picks up a little and you get a little bit of a groove to it, but that was a pretty slow run there, and I feel like it worked.
Yeah. The Billy Breathes, holy shit. Talk about songs you don't listen to all the time, but like really take, knock you out. Fucking beautiful and really well received. The crowd just like got so excited when they started it. Um, I wish that had a higher rotation too, to be honest. I get it, like especially vocals, it's hard to hit now. I think Trey struggles with
Mm.
it sometimes, but a very good version of it. And it was cool to hear like how everybody was like digging it, which
Mhm.
I don't know what I expected. Like, of course they do. It's Billy Breeze, but like, I don't know. I feel like,
At the time, it was a new song, and there were grumblers.
yeah, but
Slow,
did you?
we don't need no ballads. Mm.
Yeah, that's what I guess what I was expecting. But I felt like people were like, "Fuck yeah, let's go with it."
At this time, anything Fish did was cool. There weren't haters.
There was
It,
no
it was
wrong
all
moves in
good. It was like
'97.
whatever you guys want to play. It's
Yeah,
cool. And see, now the rest of this set, I feel like you could graft that into the middle of anywhere in 1996, and it would look like any other set.
yeah, yeah. No, from here on, I agree with, and I think putting Cars, Trucks, Buses right dab in the middle was a choice.
Mhm.
Uh, but at the same time, I think I really appreciate it. Right, it has a
Second
similar
instrumental in this
feel.
set.
Right, it
Second
has the same feel
instrumental.
as the Black Eyed Katy. It was like it's just something that gets you dancing and lost in the groove and really solid. I didn't catch the name of the banjo player, but the scent of a poor heart sent Mule poor heart. It was like the kind of like first we'll talk about the banjo. I thought the banjo playing was fucking awesome, and these songs are, really rewarded having the proper instrumentation in them. And you could tell I felt like the banjo player wasn't used to playing with somebody like Fishman, right? So like when Fishman was playing, he was like really like off and held back, but then when Fish like shut up, then like he was really prominent.
Well, a banjo is
Is
almost a
the
percussion instrument, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and bluegrass doesn't traditionally have the drummer, especially not somebody
Right.
like Fisherman. So like I think there was a little butting heads there. But the weird thing was so they did Mule, and that like had the piano, the crazy page piano part like normal, and like
Mhm.
everything was there. Then they went into Poor Heart, and it felt like I don't know if it was the band or Mike or somebody accidentally went back into Mule or like started singing the wrong words.
Mhm.
And I had no idea how it happened, but it in true PHiSH fashion. They were just kind of like, yeah, let's go. Like
Rolled
we'll
with it.
own it. We'll finish it up. And they stuck it. They stuck the landing, but yeah, it was neat. It was a
Yeah,
little
I
bit
was
off.
weird listening to that.
Yeah, I thought my thing was skipping. I was like, and that's why I was like, I'm not sure exactly what's happening, but uh, oh, it's Peter Wernick, Pete Wernick on banjo. So yeah, that's cool. Where did
We
we end up? Oh,
we
Taste.
got
Taste is fun.
Taste. Fantastic.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm just a huge fan of this song. They broke it out a couple times last summer, and remember we were saying Trey wasn't getting the intro right. I mean,
Yeah.
this one was beautiful. 11 minutes. They took their time, took a breath, and just let it breathe and let it grow. And you know, I feel like this is one of those breakthrough moments for them where they push themselves a little further than they had before.
I'm gonna go on a slight tangent because we're kind of flying through this set anyway. So, because this was the train of thought that I had when I was listening to Taste specifically, was that new music, like the new PHiSH music now, a lot gets categorized as like overly simple, and like has like a simple idea, but also simple, you know, across the board, and it's like a negative thing. There was a similar trend in the music in the 1.0 with one key difference, and it was a simple concept that they added layers and made intricate. So like Taste, the entire song comes down to a 6/8 over a 3/4, right? Like a 2 over 3, and going back and forth between the fields. And like and that's all it is. That's the you know what I mean? I haven't heard Trey say this, but like I can almost see an interview where Trey's just explaining like, hey, there's like this rhythmic exercise we do, and it turned into this song. Right. And like the same thing as like Black Eyed Katy, it was like a simple groove that they elaborated and became a thing. Whereas now I think like it's just simple, right? Like it's just flat out like overly simplified. But this idea of doing a 2 over a 3 and doing between the swung and the straight, I could listen to that shit for hours. Like they could literally just do a long Taste jam. I would never get bored of it. It's the most satisfying musical, like rhythmic thing I could think of. It is so rewarding to listen to. And I was listening. I was like, fuck, man, I love this. It's such a simple concept, but it's like such a brilliant masterpiece that comes out of it.
Didn't it go? It was Fog That Surrounds,
Oh, you're gonna ask me a
right?
lyric question?
No, 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 no. The song itself, I think, was originally called Fog That Surrounds, and then they started adding pieces to it. And every time they changed the name, then it was Taste That Surrounds, and then maybe Taste or something.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I
I
think
didn't
it went through 3 incarnations, and they added vocal parts and sections to it until they had the final song over like a year's period.
Taste that surrounds. Yeah.
And then there's the fog that surrounds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is my imagining of how it was developed, is that what the original song sounded like? Because when I hear, because I don't know, like historically, I don't, like I said, I didn't see an interview talking about how it's like prompted or whatever. It's just that like very simple musical concept is very prevalent through the whole thing. And really the only thing they do, they don't ever change off of that. It just, you know,
Unless
sits
we
in it.
pick a show that has one, I can't tell you. I just know
Yeah.
that I remember writing on tapes fog that surrounds at one point, and then someone sent me a tape and it said taste that surrounds. I was like, oh no, that's fog that surrounds. And it's actually a different song. I
It's
mean,
like
not a different song, but
It's like the Gaelic music is all like that, right? And like the Highland music is all
Mm,
based on that type of
mm.
concept. It's awesome. I like I said, it's very satisfying to me. Maybe that's a personal thing. Maybe other people are like, nah, fuck that. But I really enjoy it. I could listen to that, you know, indefinitely. I feel like. And then what? Finished the set with Hello My Baby. Okay, that's
Again,
fine. Yeah.
another Hello My Baby
I'm
for you.
I don't miss that. I mean, I'm okay. I'm kind of glad that it's not a
I
prevalent thing
couldn't
any
even
as
hear
much
it.
anymore.
I had I didn't have my stereo that loud, and I was like, "When's the aren't they supposed to do Hello My Baby?" They're doing it, but without mics. You know,
Yeah.
I can't hear it
Yeah.
over the air conditioning.
Cool. All right. Little housekeeping. If you've missed it, in case you've missed it, we have a new series that just premiered this past weekend called Fish Tales. In the first season, we're looking at all the fish festivals. Each weekend will be a different festival leading into Monday Green. We started with Clifford Ball last weekend. This
Mhm.
weekend will be Great Wen and then Lemon Wheel and so on. Um, Reception was awesome. Kev did a great job in his interview, and I'll just be honest. It's been one of the most satisfying creative things that I've done in a long time. Just being able to like pull this stuff together and edit it. It's really been a rewarding passion project. So I'm excited about these upcoming episodes. I hope everybody checks it out.
All right. Hey,
Go back and watch the
anybody,
Clifford Ball one if you haven't yet.
if you're watching in the comments of this, I'm just going to throw a random thing out there. Leave us a message what you think the best fish festival was, because I feel like the best one is the one we're going to be talking about Sunday.
When, yeah.
For
It's so funny.
reasons you will hear, I got metaphysical on Tim's. Oh,
It's so funny because everyone I've interviewed for has a very different opinion in that question, right? Like somebody was like, "Oh, I fucking love Lemon Wheel," and then somebody else was like, "I really hated Lemon Wheel," you know. And like somebody else was like, "Great One was like," I think you were, it was like mind blowing, and somebody else was like, "It was too much," and I guess it's very much a personal experience type of
it
thing,
is.
but
And that's the beauty of this show for anybody who hasn't seen it. Tim really skillfully weaves together the narrative through it from different voices.
it's very skillful.
Skillfully. Hey, you need a hype man.
Yeah, right. All right, second set. I love this set. I love
Ooh, it's a
Timber
shorty.
Jerry's.
It's a
Yeah, I
shorty.
mean, well, it had some meat to it. Like, all right, it's a short set list for sure, but this Timber had a bit to it. The hood was
Mhm,
nice. I think there was some nice moments in it. I really,
mhm.
really, really like Timber Jerry though. I think that's fucking fish is featured in it so well, and it's just a nice, probably my highlight, I would say, of the show was
They
this Timber.
now here's a song in 96 that got quite a little bit of play, that in 97 became this jam vehicle and several different spaces. In Dayton they did one, the next night in Penn State they did one on this tour, and they're completely different, the jams. This one was the longest Timber of the whole tour. And
Yeah.
really, I mean, some incredible, the last 6 minutes of it, 7 minutes of it is just this incredible space that my ears were hearing at the end of it half the way to the moon at
Yeah,
the
yeah,
end.
yeah.
Like they had found a space that really sounded like that. And it was so beautiful without the lyrics.
And it's funny because it was the longest one, and yet of the tour, but I felt like they could have gone more because they got into this major like shift at the end, and I was like really into it. I was like, oh, where is this gonna go? And then they went into
Bliss
Simple, and
prototype.
right, and don't get me wrong, like Simple was also fun, and like I enjoyed that, but I would have been perfectly happy just exploring that, you know, initial
Yeah.
bliss mode that they were
Well,
just finding.
I feel like in Simple, when they got out of the song proper at like 5 minutes, they went back into that same feeling at the end of the Timber Jam
Yeah, yeah, it was almost like Simple just kind of floated and lived in the middle there.
for a little bit until they went to. I mean, there's not much to say to the Simple. All the Simple stands out there. It's only an 8 minute Simple. It was solid, but
Yeah, the transition out of Simple into Wilson was weird. I didn't
was.
I did not understand that move there. I mean, I was fully on board Timber and Simple. I was like, yes, yes, yes. And I like Wilson, but like mid-set
Give that five
Wilson is
minutes
very
to
odd.
Simple. Give the
Yeah,
5 minutes to Simple.
right. Like I don't know. I mean, it was well played, I guess. I mean, I don't know if I've ever heard a bad Wilson, right? Like it's not an
Right.
overly complicated song, but it was an odd choice.
Fun.
Yeah.
Got the crowd back into it. The crowd was totally, snapped everybody out of.
Maybe they realized that it wasn't a jam hungry crowd. They needed to put
Right.
a rocker
But
in there.
so then what's up with this hood? I mean, I guess there's never been a bad Harry hood, but this one is, they just, instead of ending it, Trey pushed it 3 more minutes, 4 more minutes. He just wouldn't let it go. And I mean, it was a star of fall 97, but this one might be my favorite one of the whole tour.
Yeah. The peak on it was like something I'd never heard before. Like, I don't know. I can't think of another example like that where, yeah, it went, and then he just fucking starts trilling, which, like, usually when he does that, it's like, hey, I'm going to give you like 2 bars of this trill, and it's like, okay, then we're going to go on to something else or climax. But he just fucking made it more and more intense for like 3 minutes. It's just like fucking, I was kind of in a mild mood when I was listening to it, right? I think I was cooking lunch or something, like just listening. And then I literally had to stop and just take in the end of this hood because it was that intense. He was like, just fucking go, 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 go. And then he doesn't even stop with the Izabella. He doesn't even give you a chance to like catch your breath or anything.
He
It was
just
just like,
grinds the
fucking,
guitar a little and picks it up.
here's some Hendrix for you. Just fucking hit you in the face with it.
Right. I tell you what, Izabella, back then, it was such a great song and I loved hearing it. And, I know people chase it now and they're like, I wish Trey play it, but I don't think Trey's there anymore. I think he was trying to learn something from it to be like the soul shouter kind of guy, macho man kind of thing that Hendrix portrays in the lyric. And I don't think he ever quite got it, but he took the funk part away from it, the funk heavy guitar,
Yeah, I disagree with you 1000%. I think Izabella and Fire and all the Hendrix staples, they hit as hard now as ever. And I will die on that hill for me personally. Like, you don't have to agree with me, but like, I know, and I have to concede, like, there are lots of things that don't hit like they did. And whenever like old guys say it, I'm like, yeah, like, I hate that you guys bring it up, but I'm like, yeah, you're right. Right. Like, Bowie is like, we'll never, and we'll talk about that for the encore. Like, we're not ever going to get Bowies like that anymore. And I have to agree. But the times I caught Izabella or Fire or any of these other ones, they fucking hit every time, in my opinion. I still think, I think PHiSH and the band got better at it. Trey maybe not, but I think the rest of the band is even better at it. They fucking nail it.
I wish that if Trey's going to bring back one of those weird covers he did back then, bring back Stan, that Sly and the Family Stone song.
Yeah.
I think that's the one I want. All right, this Bowie.
Chicago and New York this past year, Izabella slapped. It was fucking awesome. All right.
Okay,
anyway, I'm going to argue with you a little bit, not too much, a little bit.
I'm just saying. I think there are other songs that could fit that spot.
I was at the show in 17 when it returned after 20 years and felt, you know what I mean? It's like a personal. Yeah, it went fucking nuts. The energy, like, that's one of like the handful, maybe like 10 moments from like my PHiSH experience where I was like, just the eruption and the energy was out of the control.
I feel like they did it last summer at the Man.
They did the Man, and then they did it in Seattle, New York, and Chicago. So it's not as special as it was in 17.
Right. I didn't realize they did 4. That's a mess of them.
Yeah.
Why don't we have Bowies like this? I have a theory. All the big jam vehicles are all newer tunes, I think, just because I feel like they maybe on some subconscious level feel like we've done everything we can with Bowie.
And they might have. I mean, how many different things can you do with it? Or you could do things, but they want to give that oxygen to other songs.
Right. I mean, a solid 3.5, 4 minutes till they get into the intro proper. And then the build, they were just so patient. Again, like Taste, just very patient. Let's run through it. If we run through the whole song structure 3 or 4 times, that's fine. Let's find it. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think this Bowie was insanely good. And I obviously love listening to those Bowies more than what we have. I guess I have to say that, like, it would be fan service if they were to try to do that with a Bowie. I wouldn't believe that they were like wanting to explore and find, you know what I mean? Like, it would literally be like we talk with like a slow build Piper thing. Like, they would do it as, if they did it, they would do it as like a fan service thing, right? Because they're giving that oxygen into their new shit. That said, I would fucking love it if they gave it that treatment. It's not just the build though. Like, the build is a huge part, but the climax, the peak, like so when I was editing. So what I'm trying to do for Fish Tales, by the way, is I'm trying to listen to as much of the music from each festival as I can to get myself in the mindset. And I was
Mhm.
listening to the Clifford Ball Bowie and the fucking peak and climax and like the way that finishes. I was like, I don't know many songs that hit that hard anymore, right? Like, but especially
Right.
not Bowie. So
Right. Yeah, I guess I'm, you know, being just missing it, missing the past. Yeah,
no,
I
and
had
you're
so
not
many
wrong. I think you're
right.
right.
I've just never had the connection. I love Wave of Hope. So fun. I have never had a connection like I've had when I've seen a Bowie in one of its peak moments.
Yeah. Bowie's too, like, I feel like the same way that the bands played it so much. Also at this point, and I don't know, like, everybody watching probably not, and like not all Fish fans, but like you hit a certain level of like your fandom of like having listened to so many shows and been to so many shows that there's certain songs that lose their specialness just in general, not because the songs aren't as good, but like Punch, for example, I can remember how it felt to hear that for the first time or the first 10 times. And the first
Right.
time I saw it, like it was, and David Bowie and fucking Yem and Divided Sky are perfect examples of that. Like, but now I don't get those same feelings, not because they're any better or worse, but because I've had a fuck ton of them.
Right.
I've seen a bunch, but I've also listened to recordings of even more. So I feel like Bowie's in that category of like, yes, it definitely doesn't sound like it used to, but also I don't hear it the way I used to hear it. Even, the old ones, it's not the same, right? Because you've
Right.
heard it so many times.
I wonder if I was, 18, 20 now and just getting into Fish or younger. I mean, I was younger when I got into the Dead, so I could see being 14, 15 discovering Fish. Which songs you
Yeah,
latch
it's about
onto?
how old I was when I got into it.
What do you latch onto? Do you find it on your own? I mean, I felt like I discovered a lot of the Grateful Dead on my own, and when I met other people, they'd be like, "Really, that's the song you like?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, that's the cool song.
I
I
got
love
into
the album
Fish.
Go to Heaven." And people were always like, "Really, dude, that album sucks." And I'm like, "They sound so good." And they're like, "Yeah, they sound like a studio band." And I'm like, "I don't give a shit. It sounds good, and the songs are cool." It's
Well, you're allowed to like what what you want to like.
the first album you get is Sigma Oasis. You think, everything's right is like, or Thread is the pinnacle of what Fish can do in the studio.
Thread is pretty fucking awesome, though. Like,
Thread
let's
is
be
pretty
real
awesome.
for a
What do you
second.
think of Hey Stranger, real quick? Because we'll talk about this tonight, but
I like it.
I like it too.
I think they're 2 for 3 on the singles. And
Yep.
it's so funny to me that they came out with fucking Evolve first because it
Right.
was like I was fucking sweating. I was like, you guys are
Well, then you
get
have
the fuck
nowhere to
out of
give it
here.
up.
Right. Well, now it makes sense. Hey Stranger. So I put Hey Stranger on in the morning when I was getting the kids ready on YouTube, and like I was loving it. And then I went to the bathroom and like it played to the next song, and it went to Evolve. And I come out, my wife's just standing there with her arms crossed, staring at the TV, like this isn't good. I was like, I know. And then she's kind of, we have the baby. She hasn't been listening as much as I have. She, especially the last few months. And she's like, what happened to them? And I was like, don't worry, the other stuff's still good. But she was like, this is not good. Uh,
They got
I
Phil
want to
Spector.
throw in. Let's talk about tonight. All right, two things. Join us tonight for Live. Kev, remind me tonight during Live to talk about what got you into Fish because I want to talk about the questions you just posed. But now I don't think is the appropriate time to do that. So that's a fun conversation for tonight on Live. We'll do that because I have some fun stories about getting into the band, and I think that's an interesting conversation. We are you? Do we want to pick the show
Yeah,
for?
let's pick the show now.
Oh,
Sorry, T.
that's all right. I'm saying it's all right. It's not even me. I got to change the whole
Hey,
format.
it's the old screen. It's the old school shot.
All right. So this is where we are. You pick.
4.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Wait, no, that's next show. That didn't count. Randomized show.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Whoa, that's an oldie. 4. Oh wow, another wait. Can you check? Do we have a Meadowbrook Music Festival?
Oh,
Can't
dude, that's the opening for Santana. Can we just pick a next one?
like
It's
next.
up to you.
No, we'll
that
we'll
whole
just
tour is going to be opening for Santana.
right. So let's just do random until.
Yeah. If anybody has an issue, you can at me. All right.
I wish I had a number here rating and telling me how good of a show this was. .net.
Right. What happened? Do we want to go with it?
Didn't we already listen to this show? No.
No, we listened to another Front from 90 show. All right, spin it again.
I mean, we can do that. No.
All right. I mean, I just was thinking something that had, I guess it has a little meat on its bones.
Yeah. Fuck it.
All right, well, we have to play by the rules. We already fudged the rules, skipping the Santana sets, though.
Yeah.
We're going with the front. Take a screenshot.
Yep. All right, guys.
So 9
Thanks
to
for joining
9.
us. See you tonight. Later.